Algebra 2, target 8. I can solve a quadratic equation. Focus, solve by factoring. All right, so we've graphed the quadratic. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We've done it in several forms. Our standard form, we've done it in intercept form, and we've done it in vertex form. Now we're going to talk about solving it. Today we're going to look at by factoring. All right, first off, when we factor, we're going to talk about starting from standard form. When we say we solve it, we're going to set it equal to 0. We get into standard form, set it equal to 0. This also, when we solve it, set it equal to 0, we may say find the roots. There's lots of different phrases we'll use for it. One phrase we'll say is find the roots. One thing we should know is that if it is factored, we can solve it very quickly using the zero product property. And the zero product property, here's the words and math that goes with it. Basically, if you're multiplying and the answer is 0, how can you do that? Well, the only way I can multiply and get an answer of 0 is if one of the terms is 0. So if I have it factored, a times b equals 0, then I know either a is 0 or b is 0. So that's why I say a is 0, b equals 0. Here's one in factored form, x plus 5 times x plus 2 equals 0. That means either x plus 5 is 0 or x plus 2 is 0. And to make x plus 5 0, my answer needs to be negative 5. To make x plus 2 0, my answer needs to be negative 2. So that's the zero product property. When we have things factored, it's very easy to use. You should notice this also looks like intercept form. So that should tell you that the x-intercepts are what we're finding when we solve these equations. Okay? Lots of names. We call them x-intercepts. We call them zeros. We call them roots. We call them solutions. Just be on the lookout. You may be asked for any one of these as you're working on these problems. Okay? So it's just important to recognize that all four of these things mean the same thing, and that we're going to be solving the equation. So now we've talked about it, let's do it. What are the roots of this equation? Meaning, find where it's equal to 0. Now we're starting with it in standard form. To solve it, we're going to factor it. So we're going to factor our quadratic, and we did that a couple of videos ago. You know, you reverse box it. We go x squared, we go negative 36. How do we multiply to get negative 36? Add to get negative 5. Be systematic. Go through your list. You're going to see it's negative 9x and 4x. Then we'll go through. We got x plus 4 across the top, x minus 9 down the side. So our factored form is x minus 9, x plus 4 equals 0. And so we're multiplying, the answer is 0, so we know either x minus 9 equals 0 or x plus 4 equals 0. Solve each of these. We can see x is equal to 9, x equals negative 4. You can also kind of use the trick. You take the opposite of what you see in there. Whatever's in parentheses, you take the opposite of. We're finding the x-intercepts. It's like what we did for graphing from intercept form. Right, here's another example. Pause, give it a try. When I go over it, see how you did. So we're going to start by factoring. X squared minus 42. How do we multiply to get negative 42? Add to get negative 1. Let's say negative 7x, positive 6x. So across the top, we got x plus 6. Along the side, we got x minus 7. Our factored form is x minus 7. X plus 6, that's equal to 0. Zero product property says x minus 7 equals 0 or x plus 6 equals 0. So that means our solutions are x equals 7 or x equals negative 6. It's factoring. It's what we've been doing the last couple of days. Let's try another one. All right? A town has a nature preserve with a rectangular field that measures 600 meters by 400 meters. The town wants to double the area of the field by adding land as shown. So they want to take what they got and just add the uniform distance all the way around. Find the new dimensions of the field. All right, so we're going to take, our new field will be this side, which is x plus 400, times this side, which is x plus 600. And that area should equal the old field doubled. So we'll double 400 and 600. All right, we will FOIL this out. I'm going to FOIL this time. Feel free to use the box method. X squared plus 600x plus 400x plus 2400 or 240,000 equals twice 244,000 or 480,000. All right, let's get this to standard form. So I want to combine like terms and get it equal to 0. So I'll subtract 480,000 from both sides. So what I got is x squared plus 1,000x minus 240,000 equals 0. So I'm going to factor this. I'll reverse my box. We got x squared, we got negative 240,000, and I want to see how can I multiply to get negative 240,000 and add to get 1,000. All right, be systematic. It's going to be a while because there's a lot of numbers. It ends up being 1,200 and negative 200. So we got 1,200x, negative 200x, and when we factor this, we get x minus 200, x plus 1,200. So our factored form is x minus 200 times x minus plus 1,200 equals 0. Using the zero product property, either x minus 200 equals 0 or x plus 1,200 equals 0. So we know that the value of x needs to be either 200 or negative 1,200. All right, go back and look at the situation again. We're adding land to a field. Now, if you're adding land to a field, one of these numbers does not make sense. Okay, we're adding land to a field. To be honest with you, it does not make sense to add 1,200 or negative 1,200 feet or meters. So x must be 200. So, answer the question. Find the new dimensions of the field. Well, x is 200 meters. So the new dimensions of the field, if we take a look at the top, this is 600, this is 800. The new dimensions of the field are 600 meters by 800 meters. So, in review, when solving a quadratic by factoring, your first step, make sure you get it in standard form. All right, that involves getting everything on one side and get it equal to 0. So ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Second step, factor. This means getting into x-intercept form. If it starts in x-intercept form, don't go to standard, then go back to it, of course. So we're going to factor it. And once you got it factored, you can use the zero product property to find your solutions. That means you are multiplying and the answer is 0. That means one of these two things must be equal to 0.